Many Saints of Newark, the Many Saints of Newark, or the many, well, let me save it for a little later. You know, I got my reserves per se about this fucking film. I had some going into fucking watching this thing, and unfortunately, I was proven right. Listen, as far as this shit's concerned, there's absolutely no way, shape, and or form that this being the prequel, the foreshadowing, the origins tales as we presented it to be of the series that's been so infamously linked to what HBO's been able to offer us from the longest time possible, since The Sopranos. HBO's always been kind of like a cooler platform where anything kind of goes. You know, Real Sex has been on forever on that shit. So conveniently enough, I used to have the illegal cable box, and we used to get HBO here. So believe me, as a teen boy, you know, going from maybe not so innocent young boy to like an obviously horny boy at that, you know, age and time and the teenage years and phase, HBO was like a godsend, especially after 1 o'clock in the morning, and Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sunday too, as well. But with Real Sex going on and a lot of shits they would, as far as risks they would take with their content and programming, The Sopranos was not only right up their alley, but also, I think, easy to kind of put it up there as the pedestal's concerned, the throne's concerned, is probably, if not the greatest fucking show ever on TV, at least one of them top 5 contender for of all time. You know, from pick any fucking decade, any time, and or in the history of TV and existence, and The Sopranos could probably go neck and neck with whoever you might want to imagine and or put it next to bump heads. It's really that great a fucking program. The Sopranos is so epic. Obviously, this whole podcast dedicated solely to just analyzing each and every episode, you know, going over characters and their developments throughout the whole fucking season, 6 seasons, 85, 86 episodes in total. There's the, I'm very late to the party, but there's the very great podcast, Talking Sopranos, hosted by Michael Imperioli and Steve, I think his name is Sherpa, whatever, aka Bobby and fucking Chris from the series, recapping every fucking episode. I don't know if they're going necessarily in order. I think they are, and I hope they would, and that would make the most sense start to finish. But I mean, I've been able to fucking catch up on a lot of fucking episodes, binge with them, and you know, their episodes where they got to talk to fucking Edie Falco, shout out to her, Chef's Kiss Carmela, and or my crush for the longest time, ever since I laid eyes on her, fucking Lorraine Bracco, aka fucking Dr. Melfi, of course. Mwah, mwah, mwah. What a fucking woman, of course. Whole lot of fun, by the way. If you haven't caught that episode of Talking Sopranos, where they sit down, well, you know, via Zoom, they're sitting down and talking to fucking Lorraine Bracco. Check it out. She seems like she's a legit barrel of fun and nothing but good vibes all around, and a funny fucking girl too as well. You know, there's other interviews too with different cast members. Another really good one I can recommend is fucking the episode they did with Steve Buscemi, which I had no idea was so heavily involved in the series before he became Tony B in season 5 of the I guess you can say beloved and or endearing, at least, Tony B, Blundetto, that was his name, right? Whatever, Tony B from the fucking season 5. So heavily involved and recapped his whole career. Steve Buscemi, of all people, I had no idea, was like a director like that, like doing so much shit before The Sopranos, or even before, when I really got an inside look at him, you know, at what was it? I forget which Adam Sandler film, but I want to say Big Daddy. Yeah, I want to say Big Daddy was my first time getting exposed to Steve Buscemi, but he's been in so many things before that too, that he directed himself as well, and directed a couple episodes, I think he said 5 or 6, of The Sopranos himself. Actually, him directing one of, if not the most seemingly popular episode of the whole series, Pine Barrens in season 3, he directed that shit. So when he said that, like, whoa, Steve Buscemi? And this is 2 seasons before his character's even written onto the show itself. But yeah, I recommend that fucking episode of Talking Sopranos wholeheartedly. I forget the number, but it's up there. Just look it up. Talking Sopranos, Steve Buscemi. It'll pull up on YouTube. And yeah, you'll get a lot of fucking insight, little gems and bits of knowledge and pieces you can take away. If you're a creative too, absolutely listen to that episode. It's fucking great. But now, getting back to the nitty and the gritty. The Many Saints of Newark is the prequel, the foreshadowing, the origins tale, or so we were led to believe, of what became later on The Sopranos, depending on whether you're from the Bronx or New Jersey or New York period, whatever, however you say it. No wrong way of saying it, The Sopranos. With this story being told of the Many Saints of Newark, we were led to believe, and or I was duped into thinking this would be the origins tale of Tony Soprano, a very young Tony Soprano. His relationship with the only spoken of, I believe, never shown in the series itself, or himself, Dickie Moltisanti, aka Chris's father. And, well, introduced in the movie as well, surprisingly enough, is Hollywood Dickie, which is Dickie Moltisanti's father, obviously, Chris Moltisanti's grandfather, which Hollywood Dickie, he lives up to his fucking name by being a coxman. And I guess because he was younger, he had the Hollywood good looks, and or if he really existed in real life, looking like Ray Liotta back when, I could see him getting him a whole lot of ass, courtesy of the face and the baby blue eyes and all that too, and the charm. And the nervous little chain smoker I just fucking quit cold turkey 3 days ago kind of charm that he has. But the Many Saints of Newark, just released yesterday officially via HBO Max, also dropped as well in the theaters, or released in the theaters, whatever the proper terminology is, of course. If you're lazy and or you already have HBO Max and pay for it, why not fucking stay at home and watch it there, like I did too. HBO Max via Hulu, why bother going to the theater of all things for that? I have gone to the theater. I'm not saying no, and I'm not opposed to going back to the theater, you know, with the mask on and the fucking show your card, whatever this and that too. But the last thing I went to, just to fucking give you an example, was what was it? Black Widow. I went to go see that in the theaters because I have Disney Plus, but I'm not paying $30 fucking to watch it at home just because. I'd rather in that case, since I had a fucking shout out to Fandango, I already had a credit or I had a refund because I couldn't make one showing, and they're so awesome via the app. If you can't make a showing, as long as it's like at least 2 hours before the show and you can't make it, you get refunded your shit back. Not refunded, but yeah, refunded. They give you the fucking money back in the app to use for another day and time. So I was able to use that for Black Widow. Pretty much got to watch it for free otherwise in the theater, which nice and empty. This is when they were just opening back up, kind of like back to normal-ish per se, here in New York at least. So little to no people of all days, surprisingly, for the release day of Black Widow, got to enjoy it there. I'm not giving Disney Plus any more of my fucking money like that. And I don't buy into that Disney Plus bullshit either. Premier access, top tier, elite bullshit. Look at what that turned into. It turned into a whole fucking lawsuit of all people. Scarlett Johansson suing your ass. I mean, you gotta be conglomerate, big business, top tier, monopoly level fucking important for Scarlett Johansson to be bothered enough to fucking sue your ass. Which, if you just read the news, I did a whole thing with that episode as well for the Black Widow review. Go check that out. I'll fucking put a link up here on the YouTube version, at least somewhere here on the screen. They just fucking settled out of court, her and fucking Disney. And because she has to be a gentle woman about it, I guess, in her release statement, she says, "Oh, I look forward to our future projects, me and Disney, wink, wink." Of course, worried more so about getting the bag, but then who could blame you? Because even if she's worth however much she's worth, that's her, you know, gross approximate worth according to, of all things, the internet. So take that with a grain of salt. People were upset that she was making whatever, or she banked however much she banked off the fucking movie, millions upon millions, whatever, too. Oh, you're already rich. Why are you crying about fucking a couple of millions lost out on here too, whatever, do? It's the principle. You sign a fucking contract. You expect things to happen as per the contract and have the contract honored. All of a sudden, the whole world fucking gets flipped on its head, literally changes, as it did with this shit going on outside, because I'm not even going to mention what it is, because then this shit gets pulled and or flagged or whatever too, according to YouTube now of all places. No one expected that fucking X Factor to come out of nowhere. Disney wants to make some fucking more money because they're bleeding money because of this shit going on outside in the world. So then they stand there to lose all kind of profit. So it only makes sense that she, Scarlett Johansson, wants her fucking money, even if she has a lot of it already. She does deserve it. And we're not here. I'm not here. You shouldn't be here either. Not you specifically, but you out there, worrying about counting other people's wallets and or purses about how much she's making or how much she has already. It's the principle. If she's entitled to make a certain amount, but then all of a sudden an X Factor comes in and kind of like just X's out the whole contract, she has the right to be upset. And if Disney don't want to play fair, she had the right to fucking sue them. And guess what? It seems like she had a point, or even they're acknowledging and owning up to the fact that she might have been right about this thing to begin with, because they settled. She has to give a formal fucking statement afterwards of, sorry it came down to this shit, but at least we can now look forward to working together in the near future whatsoever. Wink, wink, ha ha, where's the cash at, per se. There's that. There was also apparently an issue with David Chase, the creator, writer of the fucking Sopranos, having an issue with the movie being released on HBO Max same day release as well as in theaters, which I can't blame him, but also if this was being worked on way before the whole world changed according to the health situation outside globally, he wasn't going to know that could happen. HBO Max, I'm sure, didn't know either. That just happens. But does that mean also because of this movie not being so great? I'll be up front. If anything, they need to redub this the many fucking stunats, the many fucking faults, the many fucking blunders, the many fucking slip-ups of Newark. Maybe that's why he didn't want it to go on HBO Max, because it's like, well, you know what? Even though the movie's not that great, even though this is a huge fucking letdown in comparison to this epic fucking TV series I created and that people are doing and studying college courses over, or whole podcasts, video series, documentaries are being made about this one fucking show that changed the whole course of television and this whole narrative. This movie just can't deliver. And I'm sorry, I'm being upfront about it too. I should be reserving that towards the very end of this video, but I will be upfront and honest, and I try to be that way always with in every review I do here, of everything I do here. I'm going to give you what I fucking feel about it, and that's just how I feel about it. The Many Saints of Newark was a huge letdown, and I think if you were going into this with high expectations, or let alone thinking this would be on the level of fucking mastermind genius also, in the forms of storytelling, creativity, character development, an expose on the inner workings of all people, a fucking mob boss who would even imagine Tony Soprano would have been in the series, of course, because we get almost no Tony in this fucking movie, by the way. Spoilers in advance. It's all Dickie, Hollywood Dickie. Chris is a baby, and we get a glimpse of the baby. We don't even get a full-on look at the baby's face to know if it's like, oh, did he get Chris's fucking actual nose like he did in the fucking series? Probably not. He's a baby, of course. It's going to be a baby fucking pickle nose. Are they going to do that to him? No. But most likely, they're going to say, oh, if anything, he's like a distant cousin of the stork, because, of course, beak and beak relates. But whatever. It was never going to be as epic as the TV series itself. 6 seasons, almost 90 episodes. I would be hard pressed to say there was even one episode, to be honest. Me speaking, of course, my opinion. I'd be hard pressed to say there was even one episode that was a bump in the road, that slowed things down, that made no sense, and or was filler. And mind you, this is the series that had 2 parts to the last season, season 6, split into fucking 2, because instead of the standard 13 it had in every season leading up to it, it had, I believe it was 24 or something like that. So, mind you, to be able to say that, and that's general consensus too on top of that, that's not me buying into popular opinion just because someone said they liked it, I liked it too now, or I read it on the internet, it's gotta be true. No. Sat down, watched it start to finish, learned to really appreciate the show. Seinfeld was my #1 favorite show of all time until I watched The Sopranos in full start to finish. Now it's The Sopranos, #1 favorite TV show of all time. But again, Sopranos talk will be next week, next episode of Who This Been Watching. We'll save that for that shit. I'll do my best to do so anyway. Point is now again, the many fucking blunders of Newark. Excuse me, I meant to say the many saints of Newark. This is the origin tale of Who Would Have Guessed It, and funny enough, conveniently enough, it's a funny name at least, so that kind of maybe salvages it a little bit. Dickie Moltisanti, aka Chris's daddy, which we never see in the series. He never utters a word. He never gets to fucking throw his hands around or overemphasize with the acting sometimes, like, you know, Silvio did with his shoulders or his fucking cheeks, and or fucking Artie Bucco all over the fucking place with his hands and whatever. He's like it's like we caught him on LSD at a rave party, Artie, half the time, the way he was overacting with his hands, and let alone his fucking eyebrows, because of course he had no hair like I do on the top of your head to do so. But yeah, that's Artie. I liked Artie overall. I liked Artie, but he was, you know, sometimes insufferable because of, as Tony said in one episode, I forget which one exactly, too many of his corny jokes and or stupid stories that no one cares about. Shut up and stick to the fucking kitchen, if anything. Many slip-ups, blunders, fails, the fraud of Newark. What can be said about it? It is about mostly and solely almost about, in its entirety, Dickie Moltisanti, Chris's father we established, and surprisingly, Hollywood Dickie, which is aka / Dickie Moltisanti's father and or Chris's grandfather, which he never got to know any of them. Well, okay, obviously he was born and a child, a baby practically, when his daddy, Dickie Daddy, was gunned down outside of their home one night randomly as he was unloading TV trays to fucking eat food while they all watch TV together in unison, eating dinner as a family should. So never gets to know his father, only gets to know about the so-called legacy of his father, Dickie, mostly via his uncle Tony Soprano, who we all know and love as the lead character and or most messed up of them all throughout the fucking series. Oddly enough, Tony is the only one, I believe, outside of Christopher, obviously, that ever speaks about Dickie Moltisanti. And he's referenced, it's few and far between. It's through key moments when it's Tony and Chris interacting. Even Corrado, Uncle Junior, if memory serves me correct, I believe never references Dickie Moltisanti whatsoever. Or he might have, I might have missed it, but I know the only reference he might have made alluding to possibly Dickie and or his disdain apparently for Chris of all people, because they have almost little to no relationship themselves. When Chris is first, I think after the AA meeting or right before it. Sorry, not the AA meeting, before the intervention they had for Chris on the series. The only thing Uncle Junior says is when the dog gets fleas, you fucking lay him down or put him to sleep, whatever the phrasing went. But that's his sentiment towards Chris, which again, I believe there was like little to no interaction between them the whole series, maybe season 1 before the attempt on Tony's life. So it's about Dickie, which again, it's kind of, I don't want to say genius per se, but it is kind of convenient and or maybe even smart that they make this about Dickie in its entirety instead of Tony, as we probably anticipated and we do not get, which we probably deserve. It's been that long a time since The Sopranos went off the air, told its fucking story, and or left us with the cliffhanger of the black screen for the series finale in its entirety. So making it about Dickie and not even his come up, he's already established, but I guess kind of his come up, because then Tony's dad's in jail at some point too. Then he's like, no, it was Junior left in charge, and I guess Dickie was undermining him, making fun of him too much. So maybe that's the roots right there of where Junior starts to feel ill will towards Dickie of all people, I mean, I can't really trust somebody who goes by the name of Dickie anyway. I mean, I know it comes from Richard and or Dick, but Dickie's like not to be taken seriously anyway. But yeah, it's a little odd, this Many Fails in Newark, because it's 2 hours, obviously, so it's never ever gonna be on the fucking level of epicness and or beautifully told story, episode in, episode out, as we got through the whole 6 seasons / almost 90 episodes of The Sopranos, surprisingly. So to kind of encompass that in the 2 hours only, and also why the long wait from the end of the show, 2007, I believe, till now, 2021, makes you scratch your head a little bit. But then also it could be something as simple as, you know what, we've got James Gandolfini's, rest in peace, Tony Soprano's kid, Michael Gandolfini, who pretty much looks like his dad and is a dead ringer for him practically, except he's got this long flowing hair on his head. Why not wait for him to grow till a certain age, and based off face association alone, because he looks so much like his dad anyways, when people see it, the movie that is, they'll immediately think of Tony instead of seeing, oh, this is just the actor's kid playing the fucking same role, just younger, of the epicness that was Tony Soprano as a character in and of itself, brought to you by James Gandolfini. Psychologically, maybe I can see that working for a lot of people. Why not? And then blindly believing or buying into, this is a great movie, I love it, or I love it already. It looks like Tony. It feels like Tony never left us. He just got younger, if anything, and hit the Rogaine heavy or whatever. Ha ha ha, it works on all levels. There might be something. There might be something there. So it's about as trippy as the visuals right now because of the filter I use on Instagram, because I feel like an IG hoe right now with it too. But maybe there's that. They wanted to give the kid a chance to act in the role that his father made infamous with Tony Soprano once he was of age, and or maybe took acting lessons, and or whatever, could fucking finally play the part. Which, if we're going to talk about that later on, we might as well touch on that, but later on. Basically, The Many Saints of Newark is about Dickie Moltisanti, his close relationship with a young teenage, well, initially, what is it, infant? No, child-aged, then into teenage Tony Soprano, as well as his uncle Junior, Corrado. We actually see more of Tony's dad, Johnny Boy, which is here and there, kind of there but not there kind of dad. Oh, excuse me. More of Livia Soprano, Tony's mother, which we've come to loathe a lot from the show if you watched it, and she's a miserable cunt otherwise. Beautifully played and acted by, rest in peace, I don't know the lady's name. Again, don't ever ask me about cast members' names. I can barely remember my own real name sometimes too, because I'm so used to who this. So bad memory. With that being said, don't ever ask me about cast. It's not that I don't give a shit, it's just I don't know shit, honestly. I can't retain memory like that anymore, let alone other people's names like that to fucking properly pay respect to the cast. But yeah, she's well played. I think maybe besides, what's his name, the black dude, Harold in the movie, Leslie Odom, besides him, the lady that played Livia was probably the best performance of them all in the whole flick. But we'll get to that more as well in detail later on. So it's also about Dickie, him kind of being the boss, and also the race riots going on in Newark at that time as well too, which Tony was apparently a child for or during. And I know from watching the show, it was kind of like, I believe the time was off a little bit, or maybe mismatched potentially. So there is that also. The movie conveniently tells you the story before the show in its own way, which might overlaps, which might not coincide directly time frame wise with what went on or was established on the show. So it's a retelling perhaps of the origins, more fluffy than prettied up to make it into a movie 2 hours worthy of being, this is what happened before The Sopranos. So if you watch The Sopranos, you're guaranteed to love this because it's Most of the people involved that created are still here. David Chase too, all that too. And hey, we got fucking Michael Gandolfini's son, James Gandolfini's son to play him just younger. So of course you're gonna fucking love it. Oh, and by the way, you don't find out until you watch the movie itself that it's narrated by, oh, guess what? Christopher, fucking Tony's nephew that he fucking kills off in the show too. So reel you in that way. Mind you, we don't get Michael Gandolfini until, I want to say, the halfway point of the movie almost. Like, it's a good at least, maybe after the first hour's done is when we get the first glimpse of Tony Soprano, teenager, whatever. But yeah, there's that going on. And again, like I mentioned, there's also the story, very surprisingly briefly told, of Hollywood Dickie and or Chris's granddad and Dickie's daddy, played by Ray Liotta, which, let me start off with that first. I've always been a fan of Ray Liotta. I've never had a bad thing to say about his performances. This is going to go on record, at least for who that's been watching history, where I have to say I did not enjoy Ray Liotta in his role as Hollywood Dickie. Is he usually good? Yes. It hurts my heart to say this. Believe me, Karen, you're crazy, Karen. But let me be that Karen, be that, and dare to be that crazy. He was not good in this fucking movie. On top of being barely in this fucking movie, and on top of that, another plot twist, which you never fucking expect, of all things, the Sopranos creator to fucking give the approval and okay to let this slide into the fucking movie, of all things. He's got a twin that's in fucking jail. A dead ringer for Hollywood Dickie. There's two Dickies running loose. There's the Hollywood Dickie and Dead Dick Dickie, who's the one stuck in jail for murder for all this time, which we don't find out about existing until fucking Dickie Moltisanti kills his own father, bashes his fucking brains in via a fucking car steering wheel of all things, and goes to jail to see and acknowledge the existence of his father's twin brother, the other Dickie, Dead Dick Dickie, a dead man Dickie, because he killed somebody. He's a murderer. That's why he's in fucking jail to begin with. Ray Liotta has a very poor performance here. I'm sorry. If that offends anybody, if you don't agree, whatever, I'm sorry. This is my program, my platform. I'm only using it to responsibly share my opinion. I'm not going to force you to fucking agree with me and or argue with me whatsoever. But Ray Liotta is absolute trash in this movie. It's a waste of an otherwise, I'd say, good actor, usually, normally. But here in the Many Saints of Newark, no. He's a fucking total miss. I don't know what went on with his face. I don't know if they did that in fucking makeup whatsoever. But Hollywood Dick, whatever you want to call him, is such a waste. No point in being told. Or they could have fleshed it out, literally, because it's a dick, wink wink, ba-dum-ching. They could have fleshed it out a little more at the expense of, okay, Dickie is a psychopath killing literally a motherfucker, as you'll see in this movie, because of Hollywood Dick. But we get so much little Dick, Hollywood Dick specifically, as far as what made him into the guy he became, and how he got the nickname Hollywood, or why he's such a dick literally to his own son, and fucking the mother of his son as well too, calling both his, I guess she's not a gumma, but the young gal he marries over in the motherland in Italy and brings over to America as the finest import possible from Italy, outside of a Ferrari. I don't know her fucking name, but what a piece of ass. The woman he's linked to in the fucking movie calls her and the mother of his son, Dickie Moltisanti, a whore. Because he says, I marry nothing but whores, just my luck anyways. When they get into a whole fucking argument about, I forget even what the argument was, but they meet up in the garage. Hollywood Dick is in the fucking car. Dickie comes up to him saying some things, whatever, too. It gets out of hand, and it leads up to fucking Dick calling his mother, Dickie's mother, his ex-wife, a whore, as well as referencing to the young piece of ass he brought in from Italy, the motherland. So then Dickie gets upset. He starts punching his own father in the face, which I'm sure a lot of us with daddy issues would love to be able to do literally any given point in time, no matter how old we are, me included, hand raised right here proudly. Starts beating his father in his fucking face and starts grabbing his head and just starts smashing his fucking face into the fucking steering wheel for like a good 30 seconds at least, till you hear the sound of mush, and or like how you take your fist and start pounding ground meat to make some meatballs. Practically that same sound effect. You just envision that in your head. Beats his father to death, basically. So there's no explanation as to why he resents so much harbor towards his dad, or Chris's grandfather in this case. So we're kind of left to wonder what happened there. He takes one more thing. Check this out. He kills the guy, his own father, beats his fucking brains in against the car steering wheel, takes the car to an old fucking warehouse factory that they own, a tubing factory or some shit. I forget what exactly it was, but mind you, there's a lot you want to forget about this fucking movie once you're done with it. Takes him to a fucking warehouse just to burn one whole fucking body. Goes through the effort, the physical labor of taking the body out of the trunk of his own father that he beat himself to death and bashed his brains in to do so. Takes the body, lays it out on the warehouse floor, somewhere randomly in the back, pours the gasoline, drops the fucking matches on him, burns him, and has to burn the whole fucking place down. Now I get it, but this is also the 60s with the mob, where nobody's going to be asking too many questions, period, anyway. But still, there's no DNA tracing at that time. There's no real fingerprinting going on at that time either, or reliable, fingerprint tracing, tracking, whatever. So they'll burn a whole fucking building down, the warehouse, whatever, too. Man, that's really not friendly to the fucking ozone layer. Global warming is a reality right now today. No wonder, because of this shit going on. One whole fucking building for one fucking body. Now, what happened to just taking, maybe he had respect for his father, God rest his soul, I beat his fucking brains in myself. My hands are guilty, painted blood red with his own blood and DNA, mind you, and brain matter stuck underneath my fingernails. But, I have to honor his fucking dead body and let me burn him, at least watch him burn and burn the whole building down so that no one else can step foot upon the remains or ashes of my dead dad that I beat to death myself. I would think maybe, probably beneath him to do that to his father, like hacksaw him up or chop him up and put him somewhere randomly. No. His father gets the fucking honor of being burned. The one body burned in a whole fucking warehouse, which made no fucking sense to me. But again, this is fucking Many Saints of Newark's logic, which there'll be a lot of fucking moments that come up in this movie, which I just scratched my head and I had to pause the movie, walk away, and try to make sense of it to myself. Talking to myself literally is what this movie made me do, which I do on a regular basis anyway, but still. Made me stop, gather my thoughts, talk to myself, and just wonder out loud, did I just watch what I watched? Did they just really fucking let this go in the movie of all things and put it out there as is? Did I really just have to witness that level of stupidity or that level of what the fuck? Happens a lot in this fucking movie, so be forewarned. Or let alone if you thought maybe this was going to be a classic masterpiece, Goodfellas, Casino, Godfather 1 and 2, fuck 3 level, you're sorely mistaken. And I'm going to let you know why also as we move on and progress. Also, when fucking Hollywood Dick, R.I.P. at this point, he's dead and gone, like within the first, 20 minutes, I think, of the movie. Not even. His fucking piece of ass wife, the first night, Ray Liotta does such a bad job, I'm sorry. He's not a convincing fucking mob boss, gangster, whatever he is, head of the family. He brings his fucking hot piece of ass Italian wife. The first night in the home of his son, bangs her out, pounds her to fucking smithereens and shit, it sounds like. But even his sex grunts as an actor, I think he's done enough acting and had been romantically involved enough with enough actresses willing to be with a young Ray Liotta, a fucking good-looking man like that, where his sex grunts are more like dying of TB grunts, dying of tuberculosis grunts. It's like, I mean, we don't see them fucking, of course, thank God. We don't need those visuals, of course. But it's through the shot of Dickie asleep with his wife next to him, but he's up bright-eyed, bushy-tailed awake because, you know, his father's in the next room across pounding out his brand new fucking wife / his stepmother, which is an absolute piece of ass. So there's a wall between them. Of course, we only hear them grunting through the wall, but he's grunting like he's fucking on his last fucking, you know, moments of breath before he could find his asthma pump, and he's like just short of fucking passing out, if anything, too. That was just a bit of detail, which, again, horribly acted. I'm sorry, Ray Liotta, all respect due, but that was, why did he fucking take this role? Also, there's the guy they cast as Uncle Junior, or Corrado, whatever. Was Junior bald from how exactly when? Since Kennedy passed or Kennedy got assassinated? Because this man's been bald since the 60s. I mean, we fast forward into The Sopranos, which is like literally 30-something years later. He's been bald then. But there's that. They give him the oversized glasses like fucking Junior had here on the show also. And almost looks as old as him, basically, with as bald as he is. The guy doesn't seem old, but he carries around... So the guy that played Junior wasn't bad, actually. I actually enjoyed him. He had that Junior energy to him. And a lot of the Junior cursing for no reason because he just stubbed his toe on the kitchen counter. Ah, your mother's cunt, or whatever. Something like that. So he did bring the Junior energy. That was good. John, I'm probably going to mess his name up, but I'm not doing it on purpose. John Bernthal, or what was he known for again? Right, he was, I forget who he was, his name, I mean, on The Walking Dead. He was the Netflix version of The Punisher, which I still haven't watched. And if it's still up there on Netflix, I'm going to definitely make sure to watch it. I've heard good things about it. Boy. Talk about bad performances. Just like Ray Liotta was a complete waste as Hollywood Dick and or a mob boss, John Bernthal, surprisingly, who I think is legit Italian, fully, if not at least mostly Italian, wow, no good, not convincing at all. He doesn't bring that energy, that swagger, that kind of verbose nature that you would need to play like a charming, mind you, charming mob guy. Because according to the show, at least, Johnny Boy, Tony's father, is a natural born charmer. That's where Tony gets his charm from. I mean, if you reflect and look upon the pieces of ass, the gala of ass that Tony Soprano had throughout the show's history, it would seem obvious that if you learned it from Johnny Boy, Johnny's a fucking dead ringer for fucking a heartbreaker, pretty much. Which, you know, full lush head of hair like he's gotten a good looking man as is already, sure, I understand that. But he's also known to be a hothead and a very absentee father. Well, besides the fact he went to jail for like some odd amount of years too. But John Bernthal, at least my opinion solely, if you agree, great. If you don't, well, sorry, but fuck you too as well. I'm just saying how I feel about it. Does a very poor job. I don't think it's his fault, but I think it is the fault of whoever casted it, thinking, you know what, he's a recognizable name. Let's go with that as a safe bet, you know, something to stick in the back pocket if all else fails. But he wasn't right. Absolutely not. First off, when they start him off with the mustache he has at the beginning of the movie, he looks Mexican as fuck. He should be one of the guys waiting the tables when they have like the Godfather-esque like dinner. I forget what the fucking occasion was. I was already bored at this point too, but I think he's saying something like about his daughter, Janice, who's a cunt anyway on the show. We don't like her here anyway either. He's saying something, and I can't focus on anything beyond his fucking thick ass mustache, which is like a handlebar, fucking the custodian sized broom, thick fucking mustache on his top lip. Doesn't look good at all. Loses a bet apparently where he says he's gonna shave it off, and he does shave it off for the rest of the movie, so it's gone, long gone after that part. This is also when we get introduced, I believe, to the young versions, the recasted versions of fucking Paulie Walnuts, Silvio or Sil, and you know, one of my favorites from very early on, because of how sincere he was played, beautifully played by Vincent Pastore, Big Pussy. Which, I mean, come on, if someone's named Big Pussy, of course, that's funny enough too. But we get introduced to the younger versions of them. I'm so sorry, but in no disrespect, poorly casted. The guy the guy playing Pussy, first off, is, as I did my research, I cannot say his name, so believe me and trust me, I forgot his name, better for my convenience. The guy playing, or the kid, he's young, the kid playing Big Pussy barely gets 2 lines, maybe 3 lines of dialogue the whole movie, first off, and also he's half Tongan, so Islander per se, which isn't a bad thing, but he's half that, half Italian. He don't look a thing like either or at least enough to be convincing as a fucking Big Pussy character, a young Big Pussy, because he's like olive skinned, he's like bronze, like he's lived in the sun forever. He's never seen a fucking winter, if anything, too. He don't look a thing like Pussy outside the fucking obvious hairpiece, or at least altered, enhanced hair, whatever they did for him, too. That's a miscast in and of itself. There's Paulie, the young kid playing Paulie, or young guy playing Paulie. Does like the kind of crooked mouth thing that Paulie always had going on, too. Tries to do like the finger, the hand thing that Paulie always does throughout the show, too. It's not too bad, honestly, but he is clearly trying to imitate or capture that Paulie energy and bring it here, too, instead of like doing it his own way, which I get it's hard to do, too, because we know Paulie, we know his mannerisms, the way he talks, or the way he talks like this half the time, mind you, or his favorite word, cunt, all the time, too. It's not bad, but it's not memorable either. But then it only gets fucking worse, because at least with Big Pussy, the kid they casted as him, he barely gets to say anything in the fucking movie. So that's at least a saving grace for him, so it doesn't really expose him as not a great fucking actor and or performance concerning Big Pussy. The worst of the 3 is absolutely Silvio. Now this part right here is me saying, if you loved his performance, or you enjoyed it, or dare you say, oh, he was great though. No, absolutely, you're wrong. You're clinically insane. You're about as fucking centered as fucking Livia Soprano ever was in this movie or on the fucking show. You're a nut job. There's no way in fuck I'm gonna agree with you, or anybody else should consent and or agree with you that the guy that got to play young Silvio here was good at all. It makes you really fucking appreciate Silvio, or little Stevie, the OG Sil on the fucking show, because he wasn't that great either. He was decent. He got better as the seasons progressed, like less with the face or the fucking the shoulder action, like the Michael J. Fox shoulders going on with him too. Makes you really appreciate the level of acting he contributed with what he did on the show versus this fucking guy, which I don't want to say fucking guy like I hate him, or like we're going to blame the whole movie being bad solely on him, but I don't know what they fucking told him or what advice they should have given him, but really poor performance. It's an obvious fucking carbon copy imitation of Sil, just with a younger guy with just as bad as a fucking toupee, or too obvious of a fucking hairpiece too as well, and especially towards the end of the movie when he's talking to Dickie, when he's trying to make sure Dickie can rekindle his relationship with Tony as well too. He talks way too much, and with that way too much being said, it makes it painfully obvious that they got the wrong guy to fucking play Silvio, because he's doing nothing but practically have his it's like someone green screened the hands that were pulling his cheek out of the fucking frame. That's how much his fucking face is moving all over the place. His cheeks are shooting in every direction possible, north, south, east, west, to fucking get like 2 words out. You know, hey Dickie, you know, I was thinking, maybe you should go light on the kid or something. I don't know. The kid really looks up to you. I don't know. Whatever. Meanwhile, the hairpiece stays perfectly still in place. There is a part where it like flaps off his top like you just busted a can of soup open, and that was supposed to be funny, which kind of was, but it was, you know, obviously done for that plain fucking visual joke that only works visually, and you see it the first time, you might chuckle, laugh, smirk, whatever. You see it the second time, it's like, you fucking idiots, what'd they do here and shit. But that's Silvio also. I didn't enjoy him whatsoever. I'm very sorry, but in no disrespect to the actor playing him too, but I'm sure he had a very, very, very tall task of trying to bring Silvio back in a younger version, younger form, but no bueno. Absolute trash. This is a very common problem throughout the whole film, unfortunately. There are some saving graces, like I said. There's Harold, the black guy, Leslie Odom, if I'm not mistaken, in real life, and also the lady that played Livia and or Tony's mother, the young version of Tony's mother, too. Well, I almost felt like I was watching a young Livia, watching her do a thing, which also made me feel just as angry about her as I did OG Olivia on the series. Both of them were cunts. So a job well done, I guess, in that case, for the actress playing the young Livia version. Back to fucking, oh yeah, by the way, John Berthal, the thing he's most guilty of is basically, I believe he's Italian, if I'm not mistaken, but he can't play an Italian accent right, like a mob Italian guy, like an Italian American accent right, too, like with the energy, the emphasis needed. It's not convincing. So he was wrongly casted as Johnny Boy. I'm sorry, it could have been someone else. Ray Liotta, as the point I made earlier, sounds more like an angry Boston Italian American versus someone from New Jersey. So he talks with like a rasp, like a loud, gravelly voice. He talks a lot like Feach Lamont, I think, from the series. Shout out to Robert Loggia. I forget if he passed or not. Forgive me if he didn't, but R.I.P. just in case he did. But he sounds more like that than he would someone who's a mob boss, but it's again someone heavy on the Boston. Like, he sounds like the guy that would be at the fucking crab shack demanding more crab legs and butter and a Sam Adams to go because he's got to get back on the road to pick up his daughter from soccer practice or something like that. But it's a really bad fucking, it sounds nothing like Jersey, New York, nothing. It's like straight Boston. He sounds like Alex Jones, if anything, too, to be honest. So that's Ray Liotta in a nutshell, and we get little to none of him anyway after he gets killed, and then we get introduced to his fucking twin brother who's been in jail for murder this whole time, and of all people, Dickie goes to him to get fucking advice on how to fucking approach his guma, his wife, Tony, being boss, who's in charge, whatever, etc., etc. There's a lot of that shit going on. There's a pleasant surprise, as already announced via his own podcast and, through his Instagram too as well. Joey Coco Diaz, a comedian, and or Uncle Joey, better known as, in reference to, I'm a big fan of Joey. I love Uncle Joey. I've been told I sound and talk like Uncle Joey. That's not on purpose. But again, with me loving Joey, I would have expected, or I misinterpreted perhaps, to be more of a Joey presence, which he's there, but it's also so odd that he's the only actual non-Italian in the cast, which I'm sure there's a bunch that aren't Italian fully or maybe partially only, but he's the only fully Spanish cast member of the whole movie. But he sounds more Italian, way more Italian than anybody else playing their parts here in the movie, which is kind of disheartening because Joey's just like that because he grew up in Jersey amongst Italians and a mix of other fucking people too, as he's told himself many times on his podcast and stand-up and such. But for him to sound more Italian without even trying versus people actually acting like they're Italian. And by the way, this brings up the point too that Dickie Moltisanti, I guess you could say the lead actor outside of fucking Michael Gandolfini, the main attraction, the lure to bait you in to fucking watch this thing in the first place, the many flops of Newark. He's even better than him. Joey Diaz, of all people. That guy, Dickie Moltisanti, I don't know his fucking name. It's too Italian for me to even get into like that. Beautiful man. No, pause. Gorgeous looking man. Looks the fucking part of a mob boss. Like, he looks more like he's made for Mad Men than he would be anything Sopranos related, to be honest. Good looking fucking man. Holy shit, he's not good. Very sore fucking thumb point that stuck out throughout the whole fucking movie. Not good. I think he learned his Italian and or mob mannerisms, antics whatsoever from watching some old Andrew Dice Clay stand-up. Because when he starts getting into it, of all things, he's one of those that starts peppering the oh whenever he fucking talks, like Andrew Dice Clay, like I just said right now. But that was the thing also in The Sopranos itself, the series. You know, Tony, Paulie, all them. Whenever someone made a crazy remark or something that was made to purposely offend either one of them, any one of them present, they go, oh, whatever. But it'd be more like a genuine, authentic, oh, coming out of them. You know, Tony would go like, you know, Chris, you go to therapy, I can't fucking believe that, Tone. Oh, whatever. Like a very subdued, but still like present, like very emphasized, oh, whatever. Still, oh, whatever. Paulie, oh, whatever the fuck they would do. You know, have his face contorted too, but oh, whatever, in the case of Paulie. This guy playing Dickie would use the O and over abuse the O throughout the movie in parts that didn't merit it whatsoever. He's just throwing them in there to fucking sound a certain way because, again, I believe he just fucking watched some Andrew Dice Clay tapes and said, I think I got it down now. I just need a leather jacket. I need fucking fingerless gloves. He shows up on the fucking day of shooting whenever he's doing his thing there in his fucking Andrew Dice Clay getup and shit with black shades on. And then they got to tell him and break the news to him that we're not doing an Andrew Dice Clay fucking movie, idiot. We're doing The Sopranos here in the fucking 60s. So get back in the trailer, put on this fucking suit, comb your hair back, and talk and act like you know what the fuck you're doing here in the first place as the lead of the fucking movie. But he couldn't fucking kick the out habit. Because at one point he's talking to Tony, young Tony, like infantile child Tony, in his bed, telling him about, oh, you're going to drop out of fucking school, you got expelled, oh, randomly. And his O's are so bad because his O's sound like he just stepped on a Lego brick in full force, like mid-run up the stairs and shit, and got jabbed like perfectly in the middle part of your foot and shit. Like, oh, whatever. Like just throwing it in there, like actually screaming it out instead of being silly. Oh, whatever. At the dinner table, whatever, when you offended Tony or got on his nerves. No, this guy's fucking throwing it out there like he's in actual pain. Like after the second, third one's like, does he need to go to the urgent care or something? Because he's just like putting a lot of emphasis in that oh unnecessarily and improperly. Like, oh, whatever. In 3 sentences out of his fucking mouth, he's throwing it, oh, whatever. It's just so fucking cringe, but again, good looking man. There's no taking away from that part, and unfortunately, that's about the only saving grace of the Many Saints of Newark that he brings to the fucking table. This guy that played Dickie Moltisanti. But yeah, aside from that, we move on, and we really don't need to give any more credit to Andrew Dice Clay, even though he was good back when. But then eventually, yeah, whatever. You know, he fell out of grace. A nice little homage touch they do here to pay tribute and throw it back to the series is when they recreate the part when that one day that Johnny Boy, Tony's dad, takes Janice with him to like the carnival fair, whatever bullshit that was somewhere in Jersey. Tony wasn't allowed to go, so he sneaks into the trunk of the did he sneak into the trunk of the car? Did he or was that when he took the bus there? I forget, but he either snuck in the back of the trunk or he took the bus to catch him down there in the act to see what was going on. There's a big like bus with the feds and whatever too as well, the whole paddy wagon, and they arrest everybody. Now, the few times we got a glimpse at Tony's dad in the fucking series, the few times we got to see Johnny Boy, or the actor that played Johnny Boy, I believe he passed in real life, so R.I.P. to him. He had the swagger, the bravado, the charm to play Johnny Boy, convincingly enough. As opposed to John Bernthal, what's his name again? John Bernthal, who cannot deliver. They recreate the scene, if you remember from the fucking show, as is, except they don't fucking show the clown, which was hilarious and fucking like the icing on the cake of that scene being as funny as it was. They even showed a guy running away that gets shot in the back of the legs too by the cops, but they don't show the one fucking selling point, which would have been easy to recreate because then they don't have to fucking cast like John Bernthal, I keep fucking his name up, Bernthal, to play Johnny Boy. They don't have to recast young Janice, young Tony, all these, all that, the other. They can get any fucking schmuck from the street passing by, throw him $50, say put on this fucking clown outfit and his rainbow afro on, unless you're LGBTQ, then, you know, you're probably represented anyway, so two birds, one stone, let's get in the fucking movie, and have that fucking part two, which would have been at least a light little chuckle, and would have been paying full homage to the genius of that fucking scene. How it's beautifully acted, presented, told, and sold, and on top of that, you get, oh yeah, send in the clowns, put him in the fucking paddy wagon too, because he's fucking guilty, probably dilling some kids in the back, carousel, whatever. So they do that, but they also miss one key part, I felt at least. They missed out on that. And I think he even says the same line that Tony's dad said when he was getting arrested, like, I'm a tax-paying citizen, how could you scumbag pigs do this to me, whatever. Not word for word, obviously, but from what I remember. John Bernthal can't fucking deliver it or hit the same notes as the guy that played Johnny Boy on the series did. So that's also a miss. Again, my opinion, that's how I feel about it, but also one of the many contributing factors of this movie not being so great as it, I think, maybe could have been at some point eventually. So then, now from that part, we jump to when Dickie killed his dad, Hollywood Dick, bashed his brains into the fucking steering wheel, as we established earlier. I forget why exactly. Right, Hollywood Dick had called his mom, his ex-wife, basically a hoe, a whore, whatever, and that fucking set him off. Kills his shit. This is in the middle of one of the nights of the Newark riots going on. So the city is ablaze, on fire, literally, with people, you know, ransacking and doing all this crazy shit around the city. He's driving around, literally, Dickie, with the fucking corpse. Not just any corpse, not just any dead body. His father, that he himself killed not too long before he decided to take a nice little drive down fucking Newark to get to the fucking factory warehouse, as we established earlier, where he fucking burned his father to death, of all things. Sorry, burned his father's dead body that he himself killed. I had to stand up, pause the movie, walk away for a little bit to try to really understand why this scene went down the way it went down. And if it made sense to anybody while they were filming it, while they were editing, at any point whatsoever. Because as he's driving, what stops him in the middle of the fucking road is a crowd of black teenagers, I think. They were running away from something, apparently. He's not paying attention. He's looking down at the dashboard, whatever, because, of course, he's riding around with his father's dead body next to him. He looks up. Next thing you know, it's the fucking National Guard and or the Army. I don't know which one. They're the ones that were chasing the fucking crowd of black teenagers. They pull up in front of him. I'm assuming they stop because they saw a glimpse of, or the shadowing of, a body that is, mind you, dead body, right? It's not even propped up because he has to fucking stop short of the fucking crowd of teenagers that ran past him in the car, right? So he has to stop short, you know, abrupt break, whatever. So then the body's propped up properly, like it's sitting down, he's just sleeping, and then it slumps over to the fucking dashboard. He don't think to fucking pick up the body again when it's leaning in like this. No. He just leaves it there, slumped over on the dashboard, right? So when the fucking Army, National Guard, whatever it is, looks at him, in the tank, mind you, two in the tank and a bunch of them around surrounding the fucking tank itself, they look and they see somebody's head on the dashboard, they fucking pull up on the car. They surround the vehicle to see what's going on. Rifles aimed, everything too. One of the guys, obviously white, in the fucking 60s, keep in mind, during a fucking riot, primarily based off fucking race relations going to shit in New Jersey of all places, looks at him, says, oh, he's white, he's all right, let him go. And they fucking scurry like roaches to chase some black people down, presumably, and let him go. Drive away with a dead body in the passenger seat, slumped over. So I had to walk away for a little bit, not because I was triggered or I'm being woke or a libtard, whatever, too. No, it's just because how does that make any sense to put into the fucking movie? Like, we get it racially. Times are very tense at that time in history, in that place, location, obviously. But does this fucking forward this movie anymore, or ever make any more sense? And then, of course, he drives away to the fucking warehouse to burn his fucking body, the body of his dead father that he killed himself, and waste the whole fucking warehouse. Contributes even more to the ozone layer developing in the 60s, I'm pretty sure, with gas and, you know, whatever else is going on. And then, like, some decades later with the Bronx burning too as well, so that makes a lot of sense, I guess, in someone's mind. There's some point where now, because his dad is dead, he killed him, by the way, if I haven't made that clear already. His stepmother is now a widow, but they've been fucking making sexy, lusty bedroom eyes to each other from day one, since they locked eyes. And I mean, I can't blame him, honestly, because a piece of ass stepmother like that, absolutely, I think would make you, even though he's married with no children, right, at that point, Chris doesn't exist. There's no children, it's just his wife, and he seems like maybe like a good enough guy. Maybe not too many gumas, or at least not a guma at that moment. But when stepmom comes into the picture, the fucking fine Italian import piece of ass that Hollywood Dick brought over from the motherland, of course he's making eyes. I don't know if they made advances to each other before that, but at least once he dropped dead or he was killed by his own son, she's up for grabs, literally. But then at some point, I think at the funeral it was, when they're like at the funeral for his fucking dad that he killed himself, there's a point where she, the stepmom, looks exactly like his already wife, practically twins, just short of the fucking mole that stepmom has on her chin, a very sharp Italian chin and nose, but still beautiful, like great fucking tits on it, this girl. That's what made me wonder at some point, if you have a guma, a side piece, someone you have on the side outside of your main relationship, do you ever look for somebody, or in this case like Dickie's confronted with, somebody that looks almost exactly like your wife? And if you do stumble upon someone that looks, oddly enough, exactly like your wife, do you keep it going? Because you might as well just go home to your wife and fuck her brains out instead of worrying about the stepmother / side piece you got in your life that looks exactly like your fucking wife that you're already married to and you're trying to have kids with and you're with for a life, presumably under, you know, the church and whatever they fucking tell you to do with your life. It was just odd because she was a piece of ass from first glimpse, but now it's like, wait a second. Or at least maybe according to me, the way I saw it, they look too much fucking alike to make any sense. Then again, also, there's the fact that this over here, the guma, is Slash's stepmother that was getting dicked down by his daddy from night one when they went to visit him at his home. His own son got pounded out by daddy, you know, with his fucking asthma pump. I'm in desperate need of, you know, groans and moans like, whatever. How do you get that image out of your head enough to fucking pound out your stepmother, who's your fucking side piece officially, taking care of her, buying her things, buying her a fucking place to be, which is really just their fucking sneak away place so they can be together during the day and fuck, and then at night he has to go back like a husband would that loves his wife and eat her fucking cooking so she doesn't think of anything going on outside the home. Meanwhile, the whole time he does such a good job that apparently the wife never realizes that he's got something going on with her, or he would never think, no, my husband of all fucking women wouldn't fuck his stepmother, or at least his former stepmother, because his dad's dead now, so I don't think he'd be that sick or perverse, or to literally be, guess what, a motherfucker. Because it's just so crazy. I don't know. So then after that shit goes on, and he's already contemplating, I don't think they fucked just yet. They were like contemplating, or they might have been this whole time, but at least the first time we seen them fuck stepmom and stepson, Dickie and fucking piece of ass import from Italy, was after the fact, after, well, you know, dad's already fucking buried in the ground, or what's left of him at least, too. We go to now, which I brought up earlier, Dickie going to see his father, Hollywood Dick's twin brother, that's been in jail this whole time apparently because he killed a man. I don't know how badly he murdered the guy, but apparently he's going to be there for life because we never see of him or hear him ever again afterwards. But he goes in to seek advice about, oh, I just thought I'd let you know your brother passed. Whatever. That happens. It's a whole unnecessary plot twist. He's an odd duck, the twin of fucking Hollywood Dick, because he's a jazz fanatic. He became a jazz fanatic in the fucking can. And he spends his day reading all the time in prison, which commendable. But again, you're in prison. That's the only time you probably bother to pick up a book and knowledge yourself and do that too. So Do you really deserve all the credit? No disrespect to anybody out there in prison right now, or anyone, or they know of someone in prison right now. But at least to commend yourself or try to pat yourself on the back with being a jazz enthusiast in fucking jail because of jail, well, you know, take it easy a little bit, but still. Also, that's just like something odd to throw in, like, I'm a jazz fan. Prison made me a fan of jazz, whatever. Maybe he low-key joined the Nation of Islam. He just didn't want to tell his fucking Italian fucking nephew or anybody else Italian that might know him by association. But there's that. And the whole twin thing was, I don't even know if it really helped, because he does say at the end of the movie to Dickie, the best thing you could do for Tony's life after, well, spoilers, we're jumping ahead a little bit, after he already made it clear, and he got the hint of he killed his father, his own father, and he also killed his own stepmother. The twin tells him the best thing you can do for Tony Soprano's life, your nephew, is to stay out of his life, if anything, too. Which he actually takes the advice, and it's some good advice dished out by him. And somehow he's a mind reader, too, because he knew fucking already when each time he came to confess that this happened, he's like, you did it. You just want to make it pass like you're so sad about it coming to see me, because I got nowhere else to go to be anywhere, too. So there's that also. But otherwise, the twin thing, I don't know if it really added or made the fucking sense that people maybe thought it would once they put it into the movie. I don't know, honestly. Also, a not so memorable performance period from Ray Liotta, even as the twin. It's like, why? He did double the fucking amount of work to still suck at the end of the day in his fucking role. I'm sorry, I am a Ray Liotta fan overall otherwise, but this was just such a waste of the man's talent. But okay, whatever. Now, we jump into, finally now, what establishes Dickie to be, presumably for the rest of the movie and for what will establish for the rest of the story, as pretty twisted. Because now we've seen already how he killed his own father, meaning they had a very, I don't know, like, sick relationship or something. Who knows what exactly went down. We don't really get like too much backstory alluding to that. There's some tensity, maybe because he divorced his mother, and like I said, before he kills him, calls his mother, Dickie's mother, but also includes his guma, his fucking young piece of ass from Italy, hoes. And he has nothing but bad luck because all he ever marries are whores, which leads to Dickie beating him to death. Now, there's something going on there, because Dickie here has no issues, no reserves as far as getting sexually involved heavily, regularly, daily, it seems like. But then again, you take a look at her, you can't fucking blame him either. His fucking stepmother, or what used to be his stepmother, because dad is dead, obviously. He killed him off. Maybe he killed him because he was really lusting and horny over fucking stepmom like that. Who knows? But that might have been a contributing factor to just fucking do it, or go off the handle enough to kill your own father. But yeah, they finally fuck, or they try to fuck at least, once he cops the apartment for her to stay at regularly, and he makes it clear, I want to take care of you. Basically, you're mine, you're no one else's, so I got you pretty much. Here's a fucking apartment where you're going to live in, but then I'm going to be here during most of the day when I'm horny, and I fuck your brains out. Then I got to go, check in with the wife at night to eat her fucking stale cooking and, try to make another kid with her, because I got that many nuts to bust and distribute throughout the day. But again, stepmother, she knows little to no English at this point still too, or she's gotten better, but it's still like kind of whatever, iffy per se. They're trying to fuck in the apartment they just bought. Someone rings the bell, already knowing that they live there somehow, some way, because they did tell the realtor lady, hey, come back later, we're kind of horned up right here, if you don't mind, of course. She says, sure, no problem. Probably knowing he's affiliated and shit, so she don't want to overstep her lines. They try to get it on, the doorbell rings, he gets mad, and he utters motherfucker, which oddly enough might have been included as a joke. It was kind of funny, I'll admit. I chuckled at least when I first heard it. She says, motherfucker, I like this word. Which literally describes him, what he's doing. He's fucking his quote-unquote step, but still mother. Literally. Repeatedly. Daily. So many fucking times. He lost count. Who can keep track of fucking a piece of ass like that, honestly? If you got her at your disposal like that, if she's involved with you like that, and she's consensual, of course, let's make that clear. This is between consenting adults at this point, too. Even though one of these consenting adults is supposed to be your stepmother of all things, but still, they consent, so bring on the sex, right? That's what happens with them, and it's just ironic. It's supposed to be funny, I guess a joke. It does work, but again, like one of those first time only, when you see it and then if you see it again, it's like, yeah, okay, I see why you tried so hard, but you tried too hard, if anything, too. So, I don't know. There's that. We also get introduced finally to a young Artie Bucco. That's his name, right? Artie? Artie from the show, who's fucking Tony's best friend from like school and from a young age and shit too. Kids acting is always subject to me not being necessarily a fan of, because kids can overact, kids can underact. There's really no mid-level for kids. It's very rare to see like the child actor that's like, that knows how to act or knows how to deliver the performance properly. That's not to say there's no such thing either as a good child actor, but it's so few and far between, and you're really trying your luck, testing the waters with a kid. Trusting a kid with delivering the part, knocking it out the park, better yet said. Not so much well done by Kid Tony, because he talks way too fucking much from what we remember Tony being as or like as a kid on the show. Artie talks way too fucking much, and I think tries to play too tough as a kid compared to what we know from the show, even though he did try to be like, you know, cool, hip, down, you know, fuck Adriana, then again, who didn't want to fuck her as well on the show. The cringe part about this, now listen, obviously you've been watching the show long enough, you watch every episode, I do too as well, you know by now I'm no stranger to fuck, as far as the word itself goes. I use it, I don't use it purposely, like to make a point or be like a Kardashian where it's like fuck, 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 fuck. Fuckity, fuckity, fuck, fuck, fuck. And then, no, I use it, you know, sporadically when it counts or when I mean it, of course. So it hits and it sticks to landing. Tell me why at 50 minutes and 10 seconds in, when we meet young Artie and young Tony interacting on the bus ride, I guess home, whatever they were going to, in the span of 45 seconds, a 45-second window, not even a minute, both these kids say fucking and or fuck 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 times in 45 seconds. Unnecessarily, it makes no clear points, it's not needed, it's a sore thumb, it's cringe, it's overdoing it, it's borderline Kardashian territory for the sake of attention and or for the sake of, oh no, adults around, fuck, 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 fuck. Whatever, childlike mentality. Maybe that's what it is, but also the show never even did that itself. Even though it was heavy on the use of fuck, shit, or one of my favorites, cunt. They would never shy away from using that shit. Also, a lot of other terminologies we can no longer use as of present day sentimentality associated with the FA, you know what follows after that word, referring to the LGBTQ audience. But also, point is, even the show didn't use fuck that much, which in such a compressed frame of time. 45 seconds, 9 times you need to say fuck, even though they fucking divided between themselves half the fucking responsibility and duty. I get it. But also, I'm not guilty of that. Am I? Oh shit, maybe I am. Maybe that's why I took so much offense. Not so much offense, but I was like, they really need to do that? Couldn't they fucking rewrite the lines to like make it a little less fucky or something like that too? But maybe it's like they say in psychology. You're really just complaining or putting your woes on something outside that's really a reflection of what's going on with you inside. Oh shit. Who knows? But that was kind of overdoing it. And also, the kid they cast to play young Artie, no offense racially, I don't mean to be a racist with this, but that kid looked way more Arabic Egyptian than he did Italian, or how they try to portray him as an Italian per se. That's just a little side note. At this point now, I think this is finally when we fast forward to... Yeah, this is when we finally get a glimpse of teenage Tony and or Michael Gandolfini's debut in the fucking film. Like I said, practically an hour into a 2-hour movie, that's when we finally get to see the lead actor's fucking son, Michael Gandolfini. Oddly enough, this is actually one good point to bring up and throwing it back to the fucking series itself. baby Christopher Moltisanti is always scared and or starts to cry right away when he's around Tony Soprano, his uncle, in other words. So it's throwing it back to, of course, spoilers if you haven't watched the show ever. Tony kills Christopher because he seems like high risk at that point too. But it's odd they would do that. The relationship, at least throughout the show, building up to the finale, or when Chris is no longer with us, you could see why Tony would spare him so many times. Obviously, he's family and or blood, whatever. But, yeah. It's kind of early to call that, but I don't know. Well, they grew up together. There was Tony B, and the fucking younger cousin, which was Chris. They would always fucking make fun of Chris, and Chris always resented that too, because it'd be overboard sometimes. As boys will be boys, they'll do that. But to do it that early, looking back at it now, maybe the baby part might have been a little too early to do it, but still, whatever. All right, so then we jump to a fucking part where, I forget her name, forgive me. The piece of ass stepmother from Italy is finally settling on owning her own salon, salon, the hair salon, the place where you do your hair, which I no longer have any, but you know, memories. Yeah, but she finally is gonna buy her salon and make shit happen for herself. She gets into some sort of conversation with the realtor lady or whoever's fucking giving her the joint. So they bring up a point where, oddly enough, back in Italy, she wanted to be a fucking, not a nun, but a priest. And the lady corrects her like, wait, don't you mean a nun? Like, no, I want to be a priest, or I wanted to be a priest because they have all the power. But then again, you know, there's no fun, no life, and no men, wink, wink, because, you know, she really likes getting it on, as we'll see later on in the film too. And we can't blame her. She makes it clear that she wanted to be a priest instead of a nun, which is odd enough, but also one actual funny joke, or something that was actually funny in the movie, very few and far between. She says something along the lines of, the nuns are so dried as far as their pussies are concerned that you'll find a lot of them doing push-ups in the, what was it? You'll find nuns doing push-ups in the asparagus garden in their free time, which I think I'll never get tired of hearing that line, because that was actually kind of legit funny. So, and it reminded me a lot of something that maybe Ghostface Killer would say, one of his rhymes, like back in that Ghostface, Ghostdini era, like, nuns doing push-ups in the asparagus garden, or whatever, because I'm so horny and bulked up. I don't know. I thought that was just silly, but that was actually kind of funny. Let me see, whatever. We fast forward through a lot of other shit going on too. There's a funny part too involving, again, the actress that played Livia, Tony's mother, who was actually good. I like her a lot. Johnny, her, I believe it was Dickie. Yeah, Dickie and I think stepmom were in the car together, riding around, whatever, talking some shit. Livia, as we know her from the show as well, very well done here in the movie too, was Debbie Downer, miserable fucking, I just hate life and this, that, the other too. Oh, because Tony got in trouble. It's like, oh, we're going to stick him in a fucking school. He's a piece of shit anyway. He's a fucking loser. Who knows? And shit like that too. Johnny gets so fucking tired of her fucking talking so much, and rightfully so. She knows nothing but to speak misery and woe and bitch and cry and complain about life. Takes out his fucking pea-shooter gun, which is a very tiny piece of nothing, like a Saturday Night Special basically, and shoots right through her fucking beehive hairdo. I think he might have shot over the window of the car, which they were riding top down, but the window was up. I think, of course, in regards to Livia, of all people, you could ride down with the top down with her in the car, but she'd be the one to have the fucking window up because the draft and the wind. Oh, the wind. Oh, no, my hair. Whatever. So he shoots her right through the fucking beehive, and enough to scare her to shut her up, because honestly, he would get tired of her ass too. Now, we then jump to a fucking scene where we now confirm that stepmama is a horny little devil herself, just like Dickie is. Well, Dick's in his name, so of course we can't blame him, but she's just as guilty too, because she is ready and willing to pounce on and jump the bones of the black dude, Harold, which they've been making eyes at each other for like the longest time. Dickie looks at it or interprets it initially as her being rude and or from another country, and tells her at some point, don't look at them, it's rude. Well, meanwhile, they were just making eyes at each other and like just trying to, I guess, secretly, you know, see when they were gonna fucking get it on. And they do. She has another funny line here, which I don't know if this is worthy of being canceled, but I don't know. She says something along the lines of, I thought fucking a black dude would be different. Which I kind of paused, again, the movie, and I said to myself, why would this be included? And who thought this was okay to put? Not like cancel, like libtard triggered, but more like, does this make sense at all? Does this advance anything in the story? And again, shout out to Leslie Odom, Harold, in the fucking movie, the black guy. He was actually pretty good throughout the whole thing. One of the very redeemable factors of the whole film. But he gets the luck and privilege of being able to fuck that piece of ass stepmother. We get a good glimpse of her fucking tits, and it's fucking beautiful. That's the only good part about that scene, because again, when she says, of all things, fucking a black guy, I thought it'd be different and or better, whatever. And because, he says, well, why? Compared to an Italian guy, of course, that's what you're used to. It's like, yeah, but Italian men, you have to feed them, and then they're fucking happy and horny, whatever. It was just kind of, it was unnecessary. But then again, her tits were necessary to see. I'm sorry I'm being guilty of a horny boy, but still, it was great to see. That's all I'm saying. But from there, we find out the fact that Dickie, of all people, has been trying to redeem himself as or pass off as a good guy by, oddly enough, I never knew this existed. I don't know if they made it up for the movie, and I'm really dying to go and see this in person if it really is legit real. Dickie is the coach of a BEEP, B-E-E-P, baseball team, which means he's coaching a bunch of blind kids to play baseball. Which, listen, one of the most ironic things in life is when I used to live in East Elmhurst. Whenever I used to walk around the neighborhood, going towards, let's say, was it LaGuardia Airport? No, sorry. When I lived over there in East Elmhurst, and I used to have to walk to college because I was a poor college kid, you know, community college. Let's just make that clear too. So I had no financial aid. I had to pay my own way through fucking college, to the point where I couldn't even afford a Metro card, so I had to walk it every day, 2 miles back and forth each way. When I used to walk through the neighborhood early enough in the day, I see when they let the kids out of apparently this deaf school. I don't know exactly the name of the school, don't ask me, but the one school in East Elmhurst, right by the Home Depot, down over there by the Belova Center, if you're familiar with the area. So over there, them parts. And the most ironic part to me would always be, I'm not shaming them, I'm not putting them down. Believe me, that's not what I'm trying to do here. But I'd be so confused when I'd see the kids outside the school or getting on the bus, whatever, and they'd have headphones on. Like the fucking standard white headphones you get with every time you get an iPhone or iPod or whatever too. They would have them on, but they're coming out of the deaf school, and I would always scratch my head and stop and wonder, wait, what are they listening to? But then I remember, of course, not all kids are fully deaf, or just one side is, or they hear really low, they got hearing aids. So I guess with the hearing aids, you can hear with the headphones on, the earbuds, whatever. But then I would just get so confused all the time. So then I immediately thought of that when I saw that Dickie, of all people, was the coach of a blind kid baseball team in a blind baseball kid league, which must be super difficult and stressful because you have to legit coach every fucking moment of the game possible at that time too, because they're blind kids. And on top of that, the blind kids, shout out to the blind kids, absolutely. Blind people in general too. They gotta live with that shit, literally with nothing to look forward to. But as I digress, shout out to the blind kids playing baseball, if this is a real thing. And if it is, please feel free to send me a link to where I can watch a game in person or a video or something, because I'm fascinated by this now. Shout out to the blind kids being trusted to throw baseballs at another blind kid who's a catcher, and also at another blind kid who's supposed to hit the ball and hope and pray that he hits it or she hits it hard enough to knock it out out the park. But they're all blind. So the coach has to be heavily involved in the sense of they have to call out when to hit, up low, mid, too fast, don't hit, don't swing, whatever, to call all the actions? Or how do you even trust or know the trusted kid will understand what directions you're giving him or her or it when they, let's say, hit the ball, it's going somewhere and they gotta run along the fucking line to get to first base, second, third, home, all around, the sense of direction they need to have. Run 45 degrees to your immediate right for about 200 meters, stop short at 199 because you go too fast, and if you went to 201, you fucking halfway through the parking lot already, something like that. It seems like real life battleship with just human pieces instead of the fucking little pieces of plastic representing the battleships on the fucking little thing. B-12, C-4, you suck my ship, asshole, fuck you, kind of thing. It just seems so perplexing and so crazy, but at the same time, honestly, genuinely for me, so fascinating. I'd love to see one. The season's probably over because it's getting cold here too. I'd love to see one in person. I could imagine low-key the fathers bored out of their fucking minds watching this shit, and low-key like in the back behind the benches like gambling. Oh, this kid's gonna knock it out the park. This kid's gonna shit his pants instead of fucking even getting close to hitting the shit, because they're all blind, by the way, but still fucking clean up lovely and that kind of shit too. But that was fascinating, and I never knew the shit existed. I would gamble on it 24/7 and probably clean up crazy with my dumb luck. But still, shout out to the blind kids. Shout out to the blind baseball leagues and blind athletes, period. Anything you do blind that requires handling anything outside of your own balls, and you're a fucking pro or heavily skilled at it, bless you and salute. I definitely got to see you in person. Do your thing. Paulie Silvio, and Big Pussy, and also Dickie, trying to get info out of the big black guy who's the bodyguard / right-hand man for Harold this whole time, because now he's starting to really make his numbers come up and make his own ends. He killed off one of fucking... This was an odd part, and I don't know if this really works into how gun culture works, or if it makes sense. If you're a gun owner, or if you've shot a gun or killed somebody, let me know. There's a part where Harold makes his way into one of the shops where one of Dickie's guys going in to make his weekly collections from, right? He takes the collection from the guy, the shop owner, whatever. Harold comes right in right after him and says, "You're gonna fucking start paying me from now on. No more paying off Whitey." Immediately steps outside. The fat guy's already in his car, starting his engine, waiting to fucking peel off, whatever. Harold just pulls up to the fucking side passenger window, knocks on it like he's gonna ask for directions, but immediately shoots him. Boom, boom. This is fat shaming, if not anything else. He shoots the fat guy in the fucking stomach with, I believe, maybe one, maybe two bullets, but definitely just one, and just leaves him there. So he's so fat that he probably hit an engorged, enlarged vein in the stomach, region per se of his torso, where it immediately goes to his fucking cholesterol-riddled heart, where he's immediately dead upon sight, just getting shot in the stomach. He's trusting himself to be that fat and that unhealthy, where he'll just be fucking dead before anyone notices, hey, that fat meatball's been double parked all fucking day. Oh shit, he's dead. Let's go check on him. Yeah, he's dead. He's dead. He's not even fucking pulsating anymore. No, maybe he's too fat. You gotta check his neck, his wrist, whatever. No, he's dead. He bled out to his fucking fat gut, There was that part. That was, I don't know gun logic like that, obviously, thank God. I'm not guilty of that shit, but I just thought that seemed a little odd. So when Paulie, Silvio, Pussy, and Dickie are fucking taking this guy hostage, this big black dude, bigger than all of them combined, hostage, to question him, to get information out of him as far as who Harold's working for, what are his motives, etc. too. It's like they try to recreate that part from Casino with the fucking, what do you call that thing? The thing that compresses your head and they fucking squeeze the guy's eye out almost and shit too. With his like power drill. I don't know what it's called, but I know it's that thing you use for cars in like auto body shops to like, like undo the fucking bolts from the wheel. I don't know. I'm not a car owner, so I don't know these fucking car terms. But that drill, that power drill gun, whatever. And put it in his whole fucking mouth. Assuming they like caught his tongue and started twirling that thing around crazy, hence why he was bleeding so much and like, able to speak but not clearly afterwards, after having that happen. It's ineffective. this is the part where young horribly acted Silvio, loses his fucking wig because the guy fights him off the second time they try to drill his mouth. Pops right back up. He starts throwing him around. Dickie has to fucking shoot him dead like 10 times because I guess in the 60s they only believed in having like tiny pocket-sized guns you could like sneak inside your pussy or your asshole, depending on how big your ass was. But this guy goes down after like 10, 12 shots like a fucking elephant. And then Silvio's fucking hairpiece just flops to the front, like I mentioned earlier, like you just opened a can of like vegetables or soup or whatever. It's a sight gag. It's, again, funny the first time, but then you see it a second, third time, it's like, okay, you know, trying too hard, guys. Come on, do a little better. This is the fucking Sopranos it's linked back to, and you're doing this shit, sight gags like that, too obvious that a 5-year-old would have fucking written. Great. They killed the guy, obviously. He's fucking dead. That also brought up the point that this whole time in the series, the show at least, Silvio was wearing a hairpiece or a wig, or at least the actor was, obviously. Silvio doesn't exist in real life. But it was such a well-placed and propped head of hair that you could be easily fooled, I think, to be honest, most of the time, if not all the time. I don't know how they fucking did it back when the show was on, like 2000-ish, whatever. I guess prop and makeup was good enough back then. But then how do you figure that into the 60s if we're going off time logistics and all that too, to make it work here? Because then how were their hair pieces that intricate or so fucking well put together back then? I was just thinking that too. I don't know really, but it didn't really make sense to me, is all I'm saying. Also, you start to wonder fucking, what was the whole point of having Uncle Joey Diaz in the movie? Because then right after, it goes to Harold on the hunt for these guys, Dickie and his other confidants or whatever, including Uncle Joey Diaz, or Buddha, I think his name was in the movie. They're all gathered outside the club. They're talking. Uncle Joey talks some shit about, you know, the stepmother, saying, I'd eat her shit. Apparently, that's so offensive to Dickie, where he just flies off the handle, oh, and starts jumping his bones and starts beating his face in, to the point where he's going to fucking keep beating him to death, presumably because this guy loves to kill for no reason, has a really fucking short temper. To his surprise, when he's grasping, holding on to fucking Buddha's fat neck, and he's shaking him violently, about to kill him anyway, probably, Joey's head, or Buddha's head, gets fucking, like, imploded from inside his brain, practically. Like, his shit just splatters all over the sidewalk. It's Harold. He comes in with a shotgun, blew his head off. He's coming for fucking blood and vengeance. He's trying to kill everybody there too. They're in the middle of a shootout on the fucking street too. Dickie, of course, he's getting away with fucking murder, killing his fucking guys and associates and cohorts, leaving just Harold, the one guy with the shotgun. He's coming hunting for them. He goes inside the club. He grabs his own shotgun, tries to fucking take it from him. It's like all hell breaks loose in the middle of the fucking streets. Harold gets off. He's able to run away because, what's his face? Dickie misses the shot with his own shotgun. So he's on the fucking lam again. He's running away. Okay, we get through that part. But again, it makes you wonder what the point of Buddha or Joey was, besides like maybe 3 or 4 jokes. In total, maybe 5 lines spoken throughout the whole time. I hope Joey Diaz got paid well enough where he can't complain about his role, but he probably would have been better off as not existing as a character at all in the movie, because he adds nothing. He's just fucking there as just the standard typical fat guy with an otherwise long gold chain that would fit a normal guy properly, but because he's so fat and heavy in the neck, like it almost looks like a choker on his neck. I love Uncle Joey, don't get me wrong, he's hilarious, but it was just a waste of him. I thought he'd be more involved or more comic relief trusted to be, per se, but neither or. So there's that. Why is Uncle Junior, Uncle Corrado, such a fucking klutz throughout the movie? He never knows the right fucking thing to say at all. He seems at least genuine in him trying to establish a relationship between him and Tony, because of course his own brother Johnny Boy is too busy being fucking a hothead, a lover boy like Drake, you know, in and out of jail and shit too, to actually try to raise Tony to be a good guy, or at least be a good enough guy to try to give him a father figure. But he never knows the right thing to fucking say. And outside the funeral for fucking Uncle Joey, Buddha in this case, it's raining. It's a gloomy day already. This part was kind of funny. But they're leaving the fucking funeral home. Junior's one of the last ones to fucking step outside the funeral home into the fucking rain outside. He tells Tony, hey, why don't we dip early from the funeral and go and toss the football around? Tony, of course, says, but it's raining and shit. When Junior's stepping out the fucking funeral home, he screams to Tony, who's talking to Uncle Dickie, varsity athletes never take a day off, or some fucking shit, whatever he said. Some forgettable line. The point of this and how it stems into something bigger, I don't understand, to be honest, but there have been pettier, not so obvious things that happened in the show where people got murdered over. But after Junior says that, he slips on one of the steps on the stairs of the fucking funeral home in the rain. Barely takes a step, he just slips. It's like a fucking sitcom fall, practically like a Kramer fall almost. He's got hang time and everything too. Falls on the lower part of his back. Ouch. Who's ever done that in their life, you can relate to the fucking sight of it too. You feel the pain vibrating through your back as it happens. He falls, and it's hilarious because he just starts convulsing. He starts fucking cursing, and just, it's Junior energy. He really got it down pat while not being a copy and paste job of Junior from the show. He did his own thing as Junior. He captured the energy, that enigma. And it's hilarious because he just screams out, oh, Mamma Mia, Madonna Mia, whatever. Like, he was in a foxhole in like World War II instead of just fucking slipping on some stairs. It's like, oh, Madonna Mia, whatever. And Tony's trying to pick him up to get him off the fucking stairs. He gets like 2 inches up off the fucking step and then falls right back on the same edge. Probably hits the same spot in his back again. Says, your mother's cunt. Whatever. It was so stupid what happens. But it happens. And it's just nonsensical. It's just kind of there for no reason. Also, this leads to later on to being one of the many reasons, I'm guessing, or oddly enough, the main reason, along with some other little shit that happened before besides that, as to why Junior don't fuck with Dickie. There was the fact that Dickie at some point said to him while Johnny Boy was in jail, his cousin shit, or Junior's brother was in jail, is that, oh, my fucking Johnny's in the fucking can and you're left in charge being the head of, and you can't earn shit. Everything's going to fucking waste here with you in charge as the head. This is a waste of time and shit. Like, dogging him, putting him down. So I get that being like the seed that was planted to fucking make him like, I don't like Dickie. I don't fuck with Dickie. First chance I get to kill Dickie, I'm going to do it. This is salt in the fucking wound because it is in front of people. Dickie does nothing to help him. He's practically just laughing his ass off at the sight of this guy just twisting and turning on the fucking step about his broken back or whatever, and just cursing his life out just because he fell and slipped in the rain, which has happened to just about everybody too, let alone black ice every winter here. I've had it happen to me, so why feel so bad about it? But okay, that seems to be the very roots of the fucking problem that grows amongst them, the tension that arises amongst them. So then actually from there, we jump to, there's a lot of shit I guarantee you're not missing. We jump from there to Dickie and the stepmother on the beach. He's already talking about, like, I guess him being her being his main girl instead of the guma, or the side piece. And then she confesses for some reason, I don't know why, unless she really felt out guilty about herself, or she regretted fucking a black man like that, which is black shaming. That ain't fucking right to do. Fucking Many Saints of Newark, but you did it. Maybe she regrets the BBC after all, the big black cock. And she confesses to him about having slept with Harold. He's so enraged about, of all things, cheating on me with a black man and shit, he fucking kills her. They're at the beach, so he just drags her out to the ocean with the greatest of ease. After a brief tussle, struggle, whatever goes on in the water, he fucking drowns her. Which, it was sad to see, not because of why it happened, but more because the show would have handled it and shot it way better than how they did it here. It was just like jump cut, jump cut, jump cut all over the place, and water splashing and shit too. Then next thing you know, just a fucking floating body face down, of course, because she drowned, or she was drowned by fucking Dickie, who can't control himself at all. So now he's killed his own fucking father, and he's also just killed his stepmother / the woman that perfectly labeled him as a motherfucker, because that's literally what he was doing. Short of fucking his own mother, he was fucking his stepmother. Which again, I'm not going to say you can really blame him, again, as I've said many times here too. Piece of ass, can't blame him, but what else is he but a motherfucker? So he does that. Now we jump to fucking a scene with young teenage Tony, Michael Gandolfini, on a payphone trying to contact his Uncle Dickie, because he runs off to jail, Uncle Dickie, to tell twin brother Hollywood Dick, or Dead Dick, independent at least, about what he just done. This is where the twin starts to pick up on, you know what, you're coming to confess to me basically every time you kill somebody that we both know, or, well, I don't think you ever met the fucking stepmother, but still, someone close to you, so you can feel better about yourself apparently. This is when he tells him the best thing you can do about fucking Tony is to stay the fuck out of his life. Where he does take his advice, and from that point onwards, he tries to duck and dodge Tony, avoid him, ghost him basically, like, you know, any girl does nowadays via text with a male individual that she just wants to play games with. But yeah, he's ghosting Tony. Tony's trying to reach him in the phone booth outside the street. I think it was snowing, if I remember. And we get introduced to our very first glimpse of a young Carmela, which again, listen, I will sing her praises on the Soprano episode next week for who has been watching. Edie Falco is incredible, and I think I'll leave it for the fucking episode, but I like Edie Falco / Carmela a lot, especially her growth throughout the whole fucking series. This girl is obvious blonde, younger. I don't remember honestly if she really got the accent down, but it doesn't really matter. She was okay. I mean, she did her fucking part. The 3-4 lines she said at that part too. This is when we get our first glimpse into what starts triggering Tony, per se, as he's regularly triggered on the fucking show itself. Because there's some other guy there, I can't tell who he is, honestly. I didn't pay enough attention to care either. But another guy's there with Tony and Carmela, and he says to him, hey, hurry up, prick, or something like that. And Tony looks at him, well, young Tony, Michael Gandolfini, looks at him, twisting his face up and says, what'd you say? And I think the guy said something like, oh, your mother's twat or something like that. And he just lunges at the guy. Carmela tries to step in to fucking get Tony off the other guy, but he just tosses her off, as he's done many times before in the show. And it's just a tussle in the snow. No one's fucking winning at all. And they just cut away from that scene all entirely. I guess it's an early glimpse inside of how Tony becomes, you know, Tony, because of, you know, Uncle Dickie ghosting him. But other than that, it wasn't really done so well. I guess just because the mannerisms of his father are there, and the face is so much like James Gandolfini, where you're kind of easily fooled into thinking, oh yeah, is that Tony? Oh no, right, that's his son, that's his son. So then from there, he's trying to cop beer, basically, and he knows Uncle Dickie can be the one to help him get that shit. So now he's on the fucking hunt for Dickie, looking out for Dick. Dickie's at the fucking warehouse with all dems, Paulie, Pussy, Silvio, fucking doing their mob illegal fucking activity things. We get the fucking scene that throws it back to the show as far as TV trays. They pop open the back of a truck. Dickie says TV trays, as he's surprised and stunned by, of all things, that they picked up and decided to take for themselves and shit. I think this was Christmas. Yeah, it was Christmas, apparently, whatever. That's throwing it back to, of course, a series where they allude to Chris mentioning that, oh, I always heard that my dad got popped outside our house while I was bringing me a crib. And then Tony says, no, it wasn't a crib. It was TV trays or something like that. He does find him. He's knocking on the door. Silvio's telling him, you know, he tells Tony he's not here. Obviously, he is there, but he just doesn't want to see him. He's ghosting him. This is when we get too much of Silvio, or the guy trying to poorly portrays Silvio. Again, it makes you really appreciate like the overacting done in the first couple of seasons by, I forget his name, little Stevie whatever, Steve Van Zandt. Let me just say that. Steve Van Zandt did as Silvio in the first couple of seasons, because it was a lot, again, cheeks, shoulders, as I did before too as well. He tones it down and gets better as the fucking series progresses too. So definitely credits to him, kudos and all that. But this kid doing it is just talking too much, tries way too hard to fucking screw his face up, raise his cheeks up, raise his shoulder up. He's trying to like raise his cheeks above his shoulders. He's trying too hard to be like Silvio in that case. It just fails miserably, because it's a very bad job. He's the one guilty of being lazy enough to do an impression. It's like he saw one episode that might have been Silvio heavy, or he used Cliff Notes. He maybe looked on Wikipedia or the internet somewhere, like which episodes of The Sopranos show the most of Silvio. Watched that one episode and that was it. And it might have been an early Silvio too, when he was doing the shoulders and the jackets come to life, because there's just too much arm shoulder action and the cheeks and blah, blah, blah. He's got like Bell's palsy going on half the time. Well, Paulie does too, but then Silvio's got that most of the time. Whatever. That's the visual part you'll have to see on the YouTube version. But also, it's just so much to fucking take in with Silvio. It's really unbearable sometimes how bad this guy is. But he is the one, and it throws it back to the series as far as Silvio being the only one to be honest enough with Tony on the show. Here now with Dickie as far as the straight up guy. Listen, why don't you reconsider this? Why don't you think of it this way? Why don't you, think about it a little longer, and then before you make a decision on the show. Here he does the same with Dickie as far as, you know what, that's your nephew. Don't X the kid out. He needs you. He needs a father figure. Johnny ain't there for him, if at all. So why not you try to open up? Convinces him enough to be like, okay, you know what? Tell Tony to meet me tomorrow at this fucking diner. Afterwards and shit too. Sylvian convinces him, okay. Now we jump cut to the fucking part where, we kind of dreaded, we knew it was coming up, but of course, if the story being told up until now isn't clear, it's about Dickie Moltisanti, not so much about Tony. So now we go into the part where, again, Dickie, boom, boom, gets shot dead right in front of his fucking home as he's unloading TV trays to bring to his wife and child. He's dead. We don't know who fucking done it, but someone does call Uncle Junior back, of all things, at the nearest payphone available to him, tells him over the phone it's done, confirming, oh shit, Junior's the one that did it. No wonder now, and clear as day now, why Junior barely, if ever, spoke to or of Chris, never mentions Dickie throughout the whole fucking time. Makes a lot of sense now. Seems really petty, because it seems like he was more offended on the male aspect of Tony looking to Dickie as his favorite uncle, the go-to guy, the fun guy to be around, who we wish was his dad instead of his dad, because his dad was too much of a fucking bum, getting locked up and being a deadbeat and a fucking womanizer, etc., etc. Junior was actually out there looking for Tony's best genuinely at all times. Dickie was looking more at Tony like a son, because he couldn't have his own son until Christopher is born. And again, he barely lives to see Christopher, like, outside of shitting himself in diapers, or even take a first fucking walk, or try to fucking walk for the first time. So Tony is his boy technically the whole time. That's just by default, de facto. Junior has really no fucking responsibility outside of being the boy's uncle, but he might as well protect him as it were his own son, because there's no, again, Johnny Boy, his brother, is a deadbeat. So it does make sense now. And yeah, you do end up hating Junior throughout the fucking series, as established, as if you watch the show, of course. But it does kind of make you think, man, I think Junior, at the end of the day, just wanted to fucking kind of be the father figure for Tony, but Tony was too busy looking for Dickie and shit. And everybody loved Dickie already, so it is maybe one of those classic cases of, well, Dickie's the popular guy, Dickie's, Marsha Brady, where everybody loves him. They barely remember or acknowledge Junior unless they need something done by a responsible individual instead. And they're, oh yeah, you're here too, right? okay, I'll give you some time, but I'm looking for, you know, the cool one, the one that everybody loves instead of you. So I guess that makes sense. And then they cut to the fucking funeral of Dickie. Everybody's attending, everybody's paying the respect and shit too. Thank God there's little to no Janice in this fucking movie. Because the actress, the child actress that played, or the teenage actress that played Janice wasn't bad, but she was trying her hardest to do like a New Jersey Italian accent the whole time. And I don't know why they would include this, because this makes no sense. The guy literally died last night, and then the day after at the fucking funeral, when they're looking at the body and fucking paying their respects and shit, she says the line, "Remember he used to take us to the fucking movies? I used to love that." And the guy literally died last night, 5 minutes before, not fucking 5 years later. You're reminiscing on, oh, remember how we used to do this with that family member back when they were alive? Oh, the good old days. No, the guy literally fucking became a corpse. And already she's finally remembering these fucking past times, which was probably like the week before. Or like 2 weeks ago, if anything, too. Because Dickie was like that. He was just taking care of everybody he loved like that, too. Especially his fucking niece and nephew. That was just stupid. But there's that. And then the film ends, the movie ends, thank God, at this point, with, I guess, Tony envisioning now the pinky promise he made with his Uncle Dickie earlier on in the film about fucking just being men and shit, too. He imagines the corpse raising his fucking hand up, sticking his pinky out. He locks his pinky with his. You know, paying homage to the pinky swear they made to each other. This was a very cheap ploy. And I get it now. If people didn't like it up until now, if they were like me watching the shit and like not enjoying themselves, once they lock pinkies, they start fucking paying tribute to the show again by pasting in, just dropping it in there for old nostalgia's sakes, the Sopranos theme song. Woke up this morning, and it just starts fucking playing. The original version. Not the fucking cut for TV time introduction version. We got the fucking almost full song, which is not bad, but there's a reason why they gave us the TV intro version so we can tolerate it versus the actual full-length version we got from the actual artist and band. Rest in peace to the main guy of that band. He passed away not too long ago. But yeah, that is the Many Saints of Newark in about as short as I can tell you. Long story, hopefully less long, but again, in the style and fashions of Who This Been Watching. Brought to you by me, the host of Who This Been Watching. At Who This Is One on Instagram, Twitter, wherever the fuck else you can imagine, social media network-wise too. I'm also on YouTube, youtube.com/Who This Is One. That's all brought to you by me, Who This. And now we've come to that part of the fucking episode where we gotta give a fucking score to this thing. Right here. Listen. If I'm going to be honest and frank, as I've always been with every episode up until now, and every episode after this shit too as well, listen, I did not enjoy this fucking movie. It was a fucking letdown. What the fuck? How did they fucking let this final product be the one to actually hit theaters and HBO Max the same day of too? It's mind-boggling to me, to be honest. Majority of the cast, 75-80% of the casting is a total miss. Guys overacting, guys literally trying to imitate or trying to fucking portray the characters as per the show, especially in the case of Paulie, Silvio, and Pussy. It's a very poorly done job. I'm kind of ashamed because I'm not going to say I was looking forward to a classic mob film or something that was going to be a masterpiece either, because there was no way a 2-hour film, 3 hours, 4 hours, however long they would have made it, was ever going to compare or hold up or do justice properly and serve it well compared to the fucking show, which is so epic and easily one of the best ever on fucking TV to air. Now, The Sopranos is my favorite show of all time. This movie is forgettable. I'm going to do my best to forget it. I will never watch this again in my life. It's absolute trash. It's a disservice to the fucking show. I would think this is going to be one of those cases where, thank God, I didn't see the movie before I gave the series a chance. Just like the way I fucked things up by watching episode 1 as my introduction to Star Wars, and or the American Saturday morning TV network version of Dragon Ball as my introduction to the Dragon Ball series, both resulting in me having no interest in either franchise whatsoever. Thank God I didn't do that with The Sopranos by seeing the Many Saints of Newark first and then eventually never giving The Sopranos a chance. No, I did it right. I watched The Sopranos first, loved it, enjoyed it, watched it again, just finished it again, all over again. 6 seasons, damn near 90 episodes of fucking excellence. Acting, production, editing, story, character development. Everything beautiful about the show. This fucking movie is a stinker though. The Many Saints of Newark, according to me, Who This, host of Who This Been Watching, officially gets 1.5 years. Whoa! Faux pas. Officially, the score I will be giving this movie, Who This Been Watching, The Many Saints of Newark, is half an ear. And that's only because, one, the lady playing Sylvia, the lady playing Livia, Tony's mother, was almost as good and reminded me so much of Livia from the show. Rest in peace to her, because she actually passed away in real life. That's a saving grace. Harold as well, Leslie Odom Jr., very well fucking done job here in this movie. One of the few saving graces also. And one of the very few, they're there, but it's not enough to save the movie. Jokes that are there that I actually enjoyed and like. The absurdity of the motherfucker, as we established with Dickie and his stepmother. What was the other one I liked a lot? Junior fucking slipping and falling outside the funeral home and just capturing the Junior energy we've come to know and love and hate, rightfully so, from this fucking show as well. And also the piece of ass, mwah, 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 chef's kiss to the stepmother, the actress there too. Beautiful woman. I don't know her name. Don't fucking ask me about her name, but whoa, piece of ass. Fantastic. Those are the very few saving graces of the many blunders of Newark. I'm sorry, excuse me, that's rude. The many stunats of Newark. The Many Saints of Newark, of course, I'm kidding, but still. What the fuck happened? Look how they massacred my fucking boy, the Sopranos series, by having this shit be the prequel lead up to. And, of course, sorry, I forgot to mention that Tony ends up waiting for fucking Uncle Dickie in the diner. He never shows up, obviously, because he's fucking dead. So that leaves this shit painfully open to the reality of most likely a movie to follow up from the Many Saints of Newark, where maybe finally now, if they do it again, we'll get the origin stories of a very young Tony Soprano, leading up to my Uncle Dickie just passed away. Now it's time for me to be the fucking man and shit and step up. So maybe we'll get it then. Hopefully this never leads into a remake or reboot of The Sopranos itself. Let that show lay and sit on the fucking throne as one of the best TV shows ever to exist, and respect it enough. If you want to do a follow-up to the Many Saints of Newark, go ahead. I think unfortunately that's what they're going to try to do here with the way this story was portrayed, but goddamn, we'll see what happens when that eventually happens.